The world is still filled with countless ancient mysteries waiting to be discovered. Massive structures, mysterious carvings, and forgotten cities continue to raise questions about who built them and how such extraordinary achievements were possible thousands of years ago. Some of these monuments align with stars and celestial events, while others remain controversial because their true purpose and origin are still unknown. How were ancient civilizations able to cut, transport, and position enormous stones with such precision using only prehistoric tools and knowledge? Today, we explore some of the most mysterious ancient sites on Earth, where many secrets may still remain hidden beneath the surface of history. Pyramids of Giza, Egypt. On Egypt's desert plateau, the pyramids of Giza are not only overwhelming because of their giant shape, but because for more than 4,500 years they have stood against war, earthquakes, and the erosion of time. The largest pyramid alone contains about 2.3 million stone blocks, many weighing 2 to 30 tons, with some inner granite blocks reaching 70 tons, creating a total mass of nearly 6 million tons. That scale is why the question of how ancient Egyptians transported, lifted, and assembled the stones without modern machines still has no single agreed answer. The latitude of the largest structure, 29.979245 degrees north, is often mentioned because it matches the digits of the speed of light, but this remains debated and cannot be confirmed as intentional design. Although many historians call them tombs, the absence of any mummy found inside keeps this complex standing between history, construction skill, ancient belief, and mysteries that remain unfinished. Tarapaca Giant, Chile. On the dry, desert ground of northern Chile, the Tarapaca Giant is not only a human figure 390 feet tall, but an ancient sign placed in a land where rain, crops, and direction once decided survival. Dating to around 1000 to 1400 AD, this giant figure is considered the largest human geoglyph in the world and is linked to pre-Columbian cultures. According to local tradition, it may represent a giant warrior or a deity connected with weather, volcanoes, and lightning, forces ancient people both feared and prayed to. The rays above its head are also seen by some theories as a tool for watching the sun and moon, possibly helping predict rain for planting in an extremely harsh environment. Because its exact origin remains uncertain, this place stands between archaeology, astronomy, and belief, showing how ancient people turned the ground into a survival map beneath the desert sky. Moai, Chile. In the vast Pacific Ocean, the Moai appear like giant stone faces, with large heads, sloping foreheads, wide noses, raised chins, and silent eyes filled with authority. Most of the statues face inland with their backs to the sea, because many researchers believe they were linked to ancestor worship and protection of the communities before them. When the buried bodies were excavated, carvings on their backs revealed crescent shapes, canoes, and human figures, showing that they were not simple stone blocks. Some statues once carried red stone cylinders weighing up to 26,000 pounds, understood as sacred top-knots linked to high-ranking chiefs. What still makes the Moai mysterious is how the Rapa Nui people moved and raised stone blocks weighing many tons across miles of rough terrain without wheels, cranes, or large draft animals. Nazca Lines, Peru. On the dry plain of southern Peru, the Nazca Lines appear like a giant map carved into the ground, where straight lines, geometric shapes, and living figures only become clear from above. They were created between 500 BC and 500 AD, meaning they have survived for more than 2,000 years and are much older than the Inca Empire. Many researchers believe these were not simply drawings to look at, but may have been ceremonial paths where ancient people walked in groups to pray for water during harsh droughts. Some discoveries, such as offering skulls at important points and lines aligned with sunrise on solstice days, suggest the site may have been connected to belief, astronomy, and farming seasons. Even today, the astronaut figure with large eyes and a strange human shape deepens the mystery. But the true value of Nazca lies in how ancient people turned the desert into a message sent toward the sky. Tsaparang, Tibet. In the cold, empty land of western Tibet, this place rises like an ancient fortress growing out of the cliffs, once the mysterious capital of the Guj kingdom. The ruined city stands about 12,500 feet above sea level, clinging to a pyramid-shaped rock more than 500 feet high, with palaces, temples, tunnels, and many caves cut deep into the mountain. From around the 10th century, it once controlled a trade route between India and Tibet, while also becoming an important Buddhist center in the western Himalayas. But after centuries of power, the Guj kingdom collapsed through war, leaving mud walls, Buddhist murals, and empty palaces in the wind and dust. Some people see Tsaparang as the remains of a kingdom swallowed by history, while legend links this lonely cliff city to the shadow of Shangri-La. Sacsayhuaman, Peru. On a high hillside in Peru, Sacsayhuaman was not only a stone fortress, but also a way for the Inca to place their power into the landscape, rituals, and commanding view over the land below. Massive limestone, andesite, and diorite blocks weighing from dozens to more than 100 tons were fitted into irregular polygon shapes so tightly that almost no gaps can be seen. That carefully planned, irregular design helped the walls spread earthquake force, allowing the structure to survive major tremors better than many later buildings. What still remains difficult to explain is how the Inca quarried, dragged, and raised these giant stones across steep terrain without cranes, wheels, or iron pulleys. Underground tunnels and theories about a three-dimensional map suggest that this place was not only about labor, but also reflected an ancient way of thinking that still holds many secrets beyond modern understanding. Tassili N'Ajjer, Algeria. In the Sahara Desert of Algeria, This place appears like a giant stone museum where the past still lives on silent cliffs. Across this plateau of more than 28,000 square miles, people have found over 15,000 paintings showing ancient rituals and a bright green ecosystem that few would expect. What makes it even more mysterious is that the rich plant life and the civilization that created these images suddenly disappeared, leaving behind a deadly sea of dry sand. Even today, no one knows where those prehistoric artists found the inspiration to draw strange beings that look exactly like alien astronauts. In the local language, Tassili N'Ajjer means plateau of rivers, as if the name itself still holds the legend of a water paradise that once existed inside this harsh desert. Montserrat Monastery, Spain. On the 720-meter-high mountainside of Catalonia, Montserrat Monastery appears pinned directly into the rock, where the harsh landscape easily blends Christian faith with isolation and mystery. At the center of that belief stands La Moreneta, a statue once said by legend to have been created by Saint Luke, although dating studies place it in the 12th century. The dark color of the statue also reveals the line between miracle and material reality, because scientific analysis suggests the shade may come from lead-based paint, varnish, and candle soot accumulated over centuries. The remoteness of the mountain helped many legends attach themselves to this place, from stories of the Holy Grail being hidden there to Heinrich Himmler's 1940 journey searching for traces of ancient power. UFO reports and monthly gatherings have made Montserrat feel even stranger, as if pilgrimage, science, war history, and modern imagination all meet together on the same mountain. Avdat, Israel. Amid the barren, stone wilderness of the Negev desert, Avdat rises like a lonely fortress hanging above cliffs nearly 2,000 feet high, once controlling one of the richest incense trade routes of the ancient world. The city stands on a steep plateau, surrounded by deep ravines and traces of flash floods, where every drop of water carried the value of survival. The greatest mystery of Avdat is its ancient water system, so precise that even a tiny mistake in angle could cause all rainwater to vanish into the desert. Even today, researchers still cannot fully explain how ancient engineers calculated slopes across hillsides stretching for dozens of miles using only primitive tools thousands of years ago. Beneath the stone ruins, unexcavated underground chambers and massive wine presses continue to surround Avdat with mystery, like the remains of a civilization that once turned the desert itself into a symbol of power and survival. Durupinar site, Turkey. In the cold, dry mountains of eastern Turkey, the Durupinar site appears like a fossilized ship shape 515 feet long, linking it to one of the most mysterious stories in the Bible. This number attracts attention because it closely matches the 300-cubit length of Noah's Ark in ancient texts, if measured by the Egyptian royal cubit. The structure became widely known in 1959 after a mapping pilot noticed its long pointed form during an aerial survey. Around the area, large stones with holes drilled at one end have made the debate even stronger, because some people believe they resemble ancient ship anchors. Today, many still believe this may be a trace of Noah's Ark, but most geologists see it as a natural formation, leaving the place balanced between faith, legend, and science. Chand Baori, India. Like a pyramid turned upside down into the earth, Chand Baori opens through 3,500 symmetrical steps, turning the search for water into a journey that feels both practical and ceremonial. This structure, more than 1,200 years old, is believed to date back to the 8th or 9th century, yet the way ancient builders calculated the levels and locked the stone blocks together for centuries is still not fully understood. Its main purpose was to store water in a harsh, dry climate. but the ancient temple beside it suggests that water here may also have been connected to belief, purification, and communal rituals. The dark corridors and resting chambers surrounding the well turned this place into a shelter from the heat and a social gathering space, giving it a role beyond simple survival. Legend says the well was built in a single night by supernatural forces, and the blend of precise engineering, deep green water, and mysterious stories still makes Chand Baori feel like a doorway descending into the memory of the ancient world. Masada, Israel. In the desert of Israel, Masada is not only a fortress on a rock plateau, but a place where power, fear, and the will to survive were pushed to the limit. Herod the Great turned this cliff into a luxurious refuge with a 3-level palace hanging near the edge, both displaying power and hiding from enemy eyes. To survive the harsh climate, ancient builders carved 12 cisterns into the mountain, guided flash flood water into them, and stored up to 40,000 cubic meters of water for many years. The heaviest mystery is the story of 960 deaths, because excavations have found only 28 sets of remains, leaving a wide gap between historical records and archaeological evidence. The pottery shards with names and the 2,000-year-old date seed that sprouted again show that Masada does not only preserve memories of death, but also hides parts of history that have never been fully explained. Perperikon, Bulgaria. Hanging high on the cliffs of the Rhodope Mountains, this place stands like a giant stone sanctuary hiding terrifying secrets. More than 8,000 years old, this entire megacity covers about 129,000 square feet and was carved directly from one extremely hard megalithic rock mass. In the past, it was once a center of belief, witnessing countless bloody sacrifice rituals in exchange for prophecies that decided the fate of empires. But the impossible question is how Bronze Age people, with simple tools, could cut apart an entire mountain to build palaces with millimeter-level precision. Whether it is the masterpiece of a lost civilization or a fortress of the gods, Perperikon still remains covered in mysterious darkness today. Persepolis, Iran. On the Fars Plateau of Iran, this place rises like the stone throne of the ancient Persian Empire, built by King Darius I around 518 before Christ. This palace complex covered up to 1,345,000 square feet, built from rows of giant megalithic columns, and once served as the center for the grandest ceremonies of its time. In 330 before Christ, the city was captured by Alexander the Great and burned completely. But even today, people still do not know whether that fire was an accident or a brutal act of revenge. What gives this place its tragic feeling is that after only 2 centuries at the height of power, the entire shining capital collapsed in a painful fall. The surviving stone reliefs look like ancient processions that never truly left, as if Persepolis is still holding the final breath of an empire that once made the whole world tremble. Western Wall, Jerusalem. In the Holy Land of Jerusalem, this place stands like a giant stone witness from the ancient world. Built more than 2,000 years ago, it was made from solid limestone blocks, with the largest stone weighing more than 500 tons. Once part of the protective wall around one of the most sacred temples, it is one of the rare remains still standing after the whole area was destroyed and flattened by the Roman Empire. The most chilling question is how ancient people could stack these stones weighing hundreds of tons so tightly that not even a thin knife blade could slip between them. Science calls it an engineering wonder of the ancient world, while faith sees it as a place where heaven and earth touch, making the Western Wall stay silent as if it is guarding a secret no one dares to awaken. Carnac, France. On the coast of Brittany in France, this place appears like a giant stone army from prehistory, standing still in the wind and mist for more than 5,000 years. It has more than 3,000 standing stones, arranged in straight rows stretching for miles, with some stones rising to about 20 feet. What makes Carnac even more mysterious is that pre-Celtic people raised these stones, but left no clear explanation for their true purpose. Even today, people still debate whether this was a place for ancestor worship, an astronomical map, a burial ritual site, or a sacred sign that modern humans cannot fully understand. Legend says the Carnac stones are an army turned into stone, as if an ancient battlefield is still standing in silence to guard a secret that has never been awakened. Aramu Muru, Peru. On a solid rock wall in Peru, Aramu Muru appears like a strangely smoothed rectangular doorway, making many people imagine an entrance locked between stone and legend. Some historians suggest it may have been an unfinished pre-Inca or Inca ritual site, but its true purpose still has no certain answer. What makes the place so intriguing is the flat, carved surface, raising the question of how ancient people shaped it without modern steel tools. According to local legend, an Inca priest once carried a golden sun disk to open this gate and escape from the Spanish conquerors. Since the modern world learned about it in 1996 through the story of a tour guide, Aramu Muru still stands between archaeology, ritual, and belief in a doorway to another world. Devil's Bridge, Germany. Hidden deep in the Kromlau forest of Germany, this bridge appears like a mysterious stone gateway with a beauty so eerie it feels unsettling. About 115 feet long and built from countless sharp basalt columns, its arch forms a perfectly complete illusion of a circle when reflected on the lake below. Although it was built in the 19th century, the deadly stillness of this structure has always been tied to old legends about dark bargains. What feels most chilling is how such a narrow and almost impossible stone arch could hold itself in the air for centuries without any visible support. Whether it is the peak of architectural calculation or a masterpiece paid for with a soul to the devil, the bridge still reflects a forbidden secret that no one dares to cross. Poenari Castle, Romania. Perched on the cliffs of the Carpathian Mountains, this castle appears like the dark fortress of Vlad the Impaler, the man who cast the Dracula shadow into history. To reach these ruins at about 2,600 feet high, people must climb about 1,480 steps, where this 15th century structure was built from countless heavy limestone blocks. This was once the infamous lair of Vlad the Impaler, said to have been rebuilt with the flesh and sweat of prisoners to become an almost unreachable refuge. But how could exhausted workers carry stone after stone up a sheer mountain abyss using only raw human strength? Is it a masterpiece of military defense, or truly the eternal lair of the Dracula devil, while Poenari still sinks into cold mist and a blood-soaked past? Rosslyn Chapel, Scotland. Near Edinburgh in Scotland, this chapel appears like a stone box of codes, where almost every wall is covered with symbols that are hard to explain. Founded by Sir William St. Clair in 1446, this small chapel holds hundreds of detailed carvings, from angels, leaves, and monsters to mysterious cubes on the stone arches. What makes it even more famous is the apprentice pillar, tied to the legend of a young mason killed because he carved something more beautiful than his master. Even today, people still debate whether the symbols in Rosslyn are only religious art or hidden clues about the Knights Templar, Freemasonry, and the Holy Grail. Is it an artistic masterpiece or a maze hiding the sacred Holy Grail, while Rosslyn stays silent and locks the truth inside cold stone? Myra, Turkey. On the southern coast of Turkey, Myra was once a prosperous Lycian city, yet beneath its silent ruins, many secrets still remain unsolved. This city belonged to the 6 major centers of the Lycian League, where each leading center held strong voting power in one of the earliest federal democratic systems. Its most striking feature is the tombs carved into limestone cliffs, shaped like small houses or temples with porches, false wooden beams, and detailed relief work. The Lycians seem to have seen tombs not only as burial places, but also as copies of homes, because they believed the dead continued another life after leaving this world. Beneath today's ground, traces of mansions, streets, and ancient monuments may still lie deep in mud, making Myra feel like a city that has not yet finished telling its story. Krakus Mound, Poland. On Lasota Hill in Kraków, this place appears like a mysterious man-made hill, believed to be linked to King Krak, the legendary founder of the city. This ancient mound is about 52 feet high and about 200 feet wide at its base, and is considered one of the oldest surviving human-made structures in Kraków. During excavations in the 1930s, people found a core of wood, soil, and stone inside, but no human remains were discovered to prove it was truly a king's grave. But how was this giant earth mound calculated to align so perfectly with the sunrise on the summer solstice days across the sky? Is it an advanced, prehistoric observatory or a tomb holding the soul of a king, while Krakus still stays silent and casts a dark mystery over everything around it? Dendera Temple, Egypt. On the banks of the Nile, this temple stands like a giant time machine, hiding cosmic knowledge that seems far beyond human limits. This 1,000-year-old sandstone complex covers about 431,000 square feet and amazes people with a ceiling carved with an extremely precise zodiac star map. Once a powerful sacred site for the goddess Hathor, its dark underground crypts still seem to seal away many mysteries that have not been fully explained. How could ancient Egyptians carve the Dendera light relief, which looks so much like a modern electric device, in a time when people only had torches, and fire. Even today, Dendera stands between science and legend, as if every star on its stone ceiling is still hiding an undecoded memory of ancient Egypt. Unfinished Obelisk, Egypt. In the ancient quarry of Aswan in Egypt, this unfinished stone pillar appears like a giant held back by time, started about 3,500 years ago. This single red granite block is about 138 feet long and weighs nearly 1,200 tons, and if completed, it would have become the largest obelisk ever made by ancient Egyptians. What makes this place even more mysterious is that the work was abandoned forever inside the rock because of one fatal crack that appeared before completion. Even today, no one knows how ancient Egyptians planned to separate, move, and raise that giant stone. The chisel marks still surrounding the unfinished obelisk look like the final traces of an ancient work site, as if an entire dream of reaching the gods was frozen in stone. Ggantija, Malta. On the island of Gozo in Malta, Ggantija Temple rises like a giant trace of the ancient world, built about 5,500 years ago. This site has two stone temple areas made from massive rock blocks and is believed to have once been used for fertility rituals. What makes this place even more mysterious is that about 1,000 years after it was completed, the civilization that created it suddenly disappeared. Even today, no one knows how the ancient people of Gozo moved and raised those heavy stones when their tools were still very simple. In Maltese, Ggantija means giant, as if the name itself still keeps the legend that this place was once built by extraordinary beings. Belchite, Spain. Across the dry plains of Spain, Belchite stands like the skeleton of a forgotten town left behind by both time and the brutal battle of 1937. In only 14 days of fighting, an estimated 5,000 to 6,000 soldiers and civilians lost their lives, turning this place into a heavy reminder of the cost of civil war. Before its destruction, Belchite carried the architectural style of 15th century Mudajar design, but its brick walls and ancient towers were shattered within days by modern artillery. Instead of rebuilding the ruins, the old town was left standing as a silent memorial, while the nearby new town was constructed through the labor of about 1,000 political prisoners. Stories about church bells at midnight, footsteps, aircraft sounds, and human shadows inside the ruins remain unproven, yet they continue to make Belchite feel like a place where history and the trauma of war still exist together. Karahantepe, Turkey. Before agriculture and pottery, Karahantepe appeared as an 11,000-year-old ritual center, showing that ancient humans may have organized belief before settling into farming life. More than 250 T-shaped stone pillars, with some weighing from several tons to dozens of tons, were shaped using only small flint tools, proving that building skill was already highly advanced. In one special chamber, a giant human head is surrounded by 11 stone pillars rising 3 to 5 feet high, leading many researchers to connect the space with rituals of transformation or rebirth. Narrow passages, darkness, and carved channels may once have been used for water, wine, or sacrificial rites, but their exact meaning still has no certain conclusion. Karahantepe matters because it challenges older views of history, showing that belief and ritual may have pushed humans to build communities even before agriculture. Mahabalipuram, India. On the coast of South India, Mahabalipuram appears like a stone city from the Pallava period, where sea waves and ancient temples preserve the memory of a prosperous port. Many structures here are impressive because they were carved directly from single rock masses without brick or mortar, showing the high carving skill of ancient builders. A relief nearly 98 feet long and 49 feet high is filled with more than 100 carved figures of gods, demons, and animals, turning the rock wall into a religious history told through images. Legend says there were once 7 temple towers along the shore, and later underwater discoveries made many people believe that tsunamis or rising seas may have swallowed much of those remains. Together with the strange 250-ton balancing rock, Mahabalipuram still stands between archaeology, legend, and physics, where people must separate what is proven from mysteries that remain open. Tiwanaku, Bolivia. On the cold, high plateau of Bolivia, this place appears like a giant and mysterious stone city near Lake Titicaca, about 12,600 feet above sea level. From about 500 to 1000 after Christ, the Tiwanaku people turned it into an important center of ritual and power in the Andes. What feels astonishing is that they had stone blocks weighing up to 130 tons, dragged from quarries nearly 62 miles away, then cut with grooves, right angles, and lines of unbelievable precision. Because of that, the biggest question remains how they could move and fit those giant stones on the high plateau without wheels. Science suggests drought and social change caused Tiwanaku to decline, while Inca legend sees this place as the birthplace of humanity. Gunung Padang, Indonesia. Hidden under the dense forest of Indonesia, this place stands like a giant pyramid, hiding ancient mysteries that seem impossible to explain. Spreading across 37 acres, this 5-level structure is made from millions of basalt stones, with a shocking age that some claim may reach 25,000 years. Many archaeologists see it as an important megalithic site of the ancient Sundanese people, possibly used for ancestor worship and connection with the spirit world. What makes Gunung Padang controversial is that some theories suggest much older structures may lie deep beneath the hill, but many experts still do not accept this explanation. Is it the ruin of a lost supercivilization, or only a natural geological formation, while Gunung Padang still silently buries the truth deep underground?